Welcome back, everyone. How are we doing? Welcome to another volume by volume. This time about Peter Grill, and it's like the Philosopher's time. I just call it Peter Grill because I don't get the point of the subtitle. But uh, it's a bit more etchy, a bit more adult. So if you're not old, I guess you shouldn't watch this. But it is about a hero who becomes the strongest in the land, and everyone wanting to sleep with him. It's very harem-y. So just be prepared if you wanted to read that. But it is more of a harem comedy than it is like the Sword Art Online trope where the harem is just all around a single character. So for your characters, you have Peter Grill. Obviously, he's the namesake of the thing. You have Luvelia, who is Peter Grill's senpai, essentially the woman he wants to be with. You have two ogre girls, Mimi and Lisa. Later, we get introduced to Albatross is his name, so the names get a little funny later on. I guess that's Luvelia's father, and then another person known as Vegan, a little elf girl. But as before, I'm going to keep it to one chapter at the beginning, just to give you a taste to see if maybe you'll like this series, and then talk about the rest afterwards. So the first chapter is pretty short, but it's the setup for the whole series. Peter Grill, our main character, goes out and he wins the tournament to be the strongest man in the land. All the races came to join in to try and prove they're the strongest, and he was like, yeah, I'm going to do it, be the strongest in the land. And then suddenly when he wins, he's greeted by, I think it's Mimi. She's like, oh, great job, Peter. Now give me your down low mayo. And he's like, excuse me? And his friend, who I don't know his name, it's not as important. He's literally written as like, he is exposition drop guy. Is like, yeah, you didn't realize that at the end of this tournament, the winner is like, they send envoys to this winner to try and have children with all the most powerful nations because they want a powerful child. And he's like, excuse me? I just want to be with Luvelia. And the jokes and craziness starts from there. He is being chased down by Mimi and Lisa, who want his seed, his down low mayo. That's my favorite saying from this manga. And chapter one, it's pretty short. It ends with him being like, I'm not going to get with these people. I'm going to get with the senpai I love. I'm going to get with the woman I love. And he sleeps with the two ogres. And thus the like joke of the manga has begun, is that Peter Grill just wants to be with the one girl that he's obsessed and in love with, and is constantly being trapped or cornered into rooms with other females that want to be with him. So it's sort of a joking male fantasy of that he can get with everyone but his senpai that he wants to be with. Heavily comedy. Half the statements the people are making that want to be with him are just jokes on jokes about having sex, essentially. And that's it. There's not a lot of deep thought to this manga. It's just sort of a ecchi comedy is what it's meant to be. And that's essentially what the first chapter deals with. Beyond that, anything that I'll say after this is going to be a spoiler to the rest of the volume. So if you're interested in a joking comedy fantasy ecchi series where a dude is being chased down by a bunch of fantasy women, Peter Grill might be for you. I will say I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was very funny. I enjoy reading the dumb lines the writer wrote. It's very obvious he did not write this to be a serious, oh yeah, he's the best man ever, all the women. The author wrote it to be funny. It's just funny, and it's a joke on itself, is instead of being able to, he has everything. Peter Grill is the best character. He doesn't have his shonen glow up. He's already number one, and he still can't get with that one girl he wants to be with, and I think that's the joke that they're trying to express throughout the entire anime or manga. It does have an anime too. But from here, I'm going to talk more spoilery, talk more about stuff past chapter one. So if you don't want to hear about that, thanks for stopping by. Please give it a like and look at my other videos. Next, we are going to go on to what happens afterwards. So since he has won the tournament, they head back to their main guild that they're from because they want to go celebrate. But most importantly, Peter Grill with his senpai that is in love with him. She's just very... They play her off as like clueless, so she has no idea what's happening, anything about love, because she was very sheltered by her father. Is like, look, we got to tell my father that you will be my man. You will be the man that I fall in love with, I get married to. And he's like, no, let's not do this. And some hijinks ensues as, like, obviously her father, Albatross, does not want Peter Grill to end up with his daughter. So there's tons of jokes. He wants his daughter to be sacred, essentially, and nobody touch her, and jokes like that. But she's like, no, I will be with Peter Grill. He's great to me. He'd never do anything to harm me. And this entire time, he is being chased after by the two ogres, Mimi and Lisa, because they are still trying to get pregnant to have strong children. And yeah, so what that essentially ends up leading to is they're throwing a party for everyone, and Mimi and Lisa are essentially still just trying to get with Peter, and it leads to them jokingly trying to do it with him in public, and they get trapped under a table as Louvelia and her father are sitting there trying to talk to Peter. And Peter's like, if I get up, he'll see that I have two ogre girls half naked under this table. And the joke ensues consistently. And the idea is he's trying to hide that all these women are trying to get with him and try to get them away from him also so that he can be with her. And this is sort of the circle that we are going to run when reading Peter Grill. So I will say there's not a lot of depth. It's just a bunch of jokes and funny situations. Yeah, and so the party goes on. He gets Mimi and Lisa away from him. He goes to his room. He's like, finally, I can have some peace. Wakes up, thinks there's a monster on top of him, and nope, his friend turns the light on because he's trying to figure out what the racket is, and it is a naked elf girl. And she's like, I have come here from the elf nation. You're gonna impregnate me. He's like, no, thank you. And she's like, wow, I can't believe you turned me down. And she curses him. And she's like, you won't know what the curse is, but you can't get rid of it unless you come back to me, and you will be groveling when you do. And so she leaves. And it tries to march on from there. Peter's learning that him and Louvelia need to go out and defeat some demon-type things that are attacking a village. He gets out there, and he kills the demon, and the joke comes up. His friend goes, have you been pitching a tent this whole time? And Peter's like, yes, I have no idea what's happening right now. And that's the joke, as he starts to realize that his curse is he is constantly hard, I guess, is the joke we're going with here. And essentially that goes on until he ends up in a bathhouse where Louvelia is finally like, oh, maybe you should come to my side and we should bathe together since we're finally official, you know? And he's like, oh, it's time. And the elf is like, well, you either go over there and you go stay hard till you're impotent, or you get with me. And Peter Grill, unfortunately, has to give in, not get with his senpai, and get with the elf. And the manga ends with the two ogres seeing him, and I guess it's insinuated that ogres and elves don't like each other. So the joke they end with is that he has started a war with his penis. Because both sides of the factions want to have strong babies, and they have to have it with Peter Grill, and they don't want the other nations having it. And yeah, that's where I pretty much see the series going from here. It's just constant joking scenes after another about weird situations Peter's being put into because different women want to get with him, while constantly poking fun at the fact that he's never going to get to be with his love interest. Maybe till the end. I have no idea if he'll actually end up with her. But yeah. There's not a lot to say, I guess. I thought it was funny. I enjoyed the humor. It was well done. It's funny to see him in these awkward situations. It's very obvious that the creator didn't care so much about the sexuality of the story because it's not even a wrapped manga. He didn't even want to draw it. He was just like, I'm going to draw this comedy, but I want the comedy to relate around to the hero being number one at the very beginning. And yeah. Other than that, there's not much to say. We have another second coming up next. I'll be talking about Orient Volume 2. I have it right next to me. And then we have a big manga coming up, which I'm excited to read. And I guess I'll try something new at the end. I did enjoy this. I've already picked up the second volume to sit down and read. But with that, Peter Grill can go on my shelf.